You will never heal until you understand this about your father. Let's start with a hard truth. Something inside you is still broken, and it traces back to your father. It's not another self-help hack or external change. It's about him, the man whose presence or absence quietly shaped the core of who you are. This might sting. You think you've moved on, outgrown your father's reach. But listen carefully. His echo is still there. In the doubt, whispering you're not good enough. In the fear of being abandoned. In that harsh inner voice that criticizes your every move. A voice that often wears his face. We need to talk about the wound he left in you. It's there whether you admit it or not. Maybe it flares up as a pang every Father's Day, or when you see a child with their dad. Maybe it hides as a dull ache, disguised as anger or an emptiness you can't fill. Carl Jung called this the father complex, an unconscious father image quietly steering your life. If that image was poisoned by neglect, criticism, or absence, it became a curse you carry silently. Let's be clear. A father didn't have to leave to hurt you. He could be present in the house, but cold in soul. He might have provided food and shelter, but starved you of affection. Sometimes the wound isn't about what he did. It's about what you never received. Think about it. Did your father ever say he was proud of you? Did he make you feel safe and loved? Or were you always chasing approval that never came? A child raised under constant criticism or cold silence learns one thing: I'm not good enough. That belief spreads like poison through your life. If your father was absent, physically or emotionally, you learned another lesson. People you love can vanish, and those who should protect you can let you down. You learn to expect abandonment. Even now, a part of you stays braced for the door to slam, for love to disappear without warning. Maybe your father was present, but only to point out flaws. Every mistake magnified, every success met with, why not better? The result? You internalized an inner critic that never lets you rest. No achievement is ever enough, no joy guilt-free. That relentless pressure to be perfect is your critical father's voice in your head. Or maybe your father kept you at arm's length, never asking about your feelings, so you learned to hide your emotions, believing no one, not even dad, would care. Now you struggle to open up, to trust, to be vulnerable. That wall around your heart, he helped build it. Understand, a child's early self-image comes from the father's mirror. He is like a giant in your small world. If that giant was kind, you carry some confidence. If he was harsh or unsteady, you carry a shadow. A sense of never being good enough, of always questioning your worth. Your identity was quietly shaped by how he saw you. When a father loves well, he sends the message, you matter, you are capable, you are seen. When he is distant or cruel, he sends the opposite, you're unimportant, unworthy, invisible. You may have tried to outrun that message. Perhaps you overachieve to compensate, or shrink from challenges expecting failure. These patterns aren't coincidence. They were scripted by his influence. Be honest. How much of your life has been a reaction to your father? If he was overbearing, did you rebel against everything he wanted? If he was absent, did you search for him in every mentor you found, hoping for the approval you missed? So many paths you've taken were set by the compass he gave, even if you tried to throw it aside. You carry a father imago, an inner blueprint of father in your psyche. It might be quietly running your life without you knowing. Until you bring it to light, it directs your choices and fears like a hidden puppeteer. As Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Your father's shadow has directed you long enough. So what if someone never confronts their father wound? Tragically, they keep bleeding inside. They might change jobs, partners, cities, hoping a new life will fill the emptiness. But wherever you go, your wounded inner child goes too. Unhealed father wounds breed cycles. choosing toxic partners who treat you like he did, sabotaging good things out of unworthiness, even passing the same pain to your own children. Pain that is not transformed will be transmitted. If you don't face it, you will pass your wound's residue to those around you, especially your children. Maybe you already see it. Your temper with your kids echoes your dad's. Or you shut down emotionally like he did, even though you swore you'd be different. This is how an unhealed father wound becomes a legacy, turning children into what they resented. But it doesn't have to continue. You have the power to break this pattern, and it begins with acknowledging the wound. No more denial, no more excuses like he did his best or I'm fine. Sure, he may have tried, and you might seem fine on the surface. But do you still feel that ache, that anger, that void? Acknowledge it. You cannot heal what you refuse to see. Don't misunderstand. Acknowledging the wound isn't about blaming or vilifying your father forever. It's about being honest about the impact. You're not a child now, but the child inside you is still waiting for the love that never came. To heal, you must hear that child out. Let yourself feel the pain and disappointment you pushed down to survive. It's okay to admit you wanted more from him. You deserved more. This part is difficult. You may have spent years building defenses around this tender spot, telling yourself it was nothing, that you didn't care, that you were over it. But peel back those defenses and you'll find a well of sadness or anger. These feelings aren't easy, but they're real. And only facing that truth can set you free. Confront it. If possible, have an honest conversation with your father. Not to seek an apology or cast blame, but to speak your truth and heal. If he isn't available or it's not safe, confront him indirectly. Write an unsent letter pouring out every hurt, or speak to an empty chair and say something you never could. Even if you cry, you'll be releasing poison from the wound. Picture your younger self, small and helpless before that giant father. Tell your father how his absence made you feel unworthy, how his harsh words made you doubt your worth, how this silence left you unseen. You're not changing the past, you're validating that a wrong was done to you and you didn't deserve it. That validation is crucial, especially if no one ever acknowledged your wound before. Now comes another crucial part, understanding. And it can be hard, especially if he hurt you deeply. But realize your father was also human, shaped by his own wounds, like a broken childhood of his own. This doesn't excuse him, but it explains him. Seeing that he was repeating what was done to him can lift the burden of self-blame from you. It wasn't that you were unlovable, it was that he didn't know any better and was trapped in his own pain. This understanding can open the door to symbolic reconciliation. Not a literal reconciliation, that's not always possible, but inside yourself, you can begin to accept that the father you had was wounded and limited, and that his failings were not about your worth. You may even choose to forgive him in your heart, not because he deserves it, but because you deserve peace. Forgiveness isn't letting him off the hook. It's freeing your soul from anger and resentment. If you lacked a nurturing dad, you must nurture yourself and seek guidance elsewhere. Perhaps find a mentor or elder who embodies good fatherly qualities, someone wise and supportive, and allow yourself to be guided by them. Or cultivate an inner father figure. Jung would call this activating the father archetype, the wise old man within. It may sound abstract, but it's essentially reparenting yourself. You become the father you never had through simple acts. Give yourself permission to be proud of your achievements. Tell yourself the words you long to hear. I'm proud of you. I love you. Create the structure and discipline in your life that he failed to provide. At first it feels strange to play both roles, but over time these new patterns take root. You prove that you can give yourself the love and support that were missing. If he never protected you, You learn to protect your own boundaries, to stand up for the child in you who once couldn't. If he never showed interest in your dreams, you nurture those dreams now with full commitment, showing your inner child that their passions matter. If he never spent time with you, you give yourself time now, proving that you are worth it. In doing so, you fill the role he abdicated. Understand, this isn't a quick or linear journey. The father wound is deep, and healing is more spiral than straight line. You might think you've moved on, only for an old trigger to resurface and hurt you again. That's okay. It's not failure. It's an opportunity to heal another layer. Each time you face the pain instead of running, it loses a bit more of its grip on you. You might find it helpful to use rituals or symbols. Perhaps carry a photo of your childhood self and look at it often to remind you who you're healing for. Or keep a journal as if a loving father is writing to your inner child with comfort and guidance. Use whatever resonates with you to reinforce that the void is filling with something good, not left gaping. As you do this work, things will begin to change. You'll notice the old triggers lose their charge. Where once thoughts of your father brought overwhelming anger or despair, you might feel only a calm sadness, or even nothing at all. The memories won't disappear, but they lose their power to control you. You're rewiring your reactions. The puppet strings are being cut. The hidden puppeteer is losing its hold. You'll also see changes in your relationships and self-confidence. As that core belief, I'm not good enough, or people I love will leave, dissolves, you stand taller. You stop tolerating disrespect because you know you deserve better. You choose partners more wisely because your heart isn't clenched by fear. Instead of seeking someone to fill a father role, you enter relationships as your own person, healing, not a desperate child in an adult's body. Your identity, once overshadowed by your father's definition, begins to emerge on its own. You find you can define yourself. Maybe you always believed you were shy or unworthy because that's how he made you feel. But as you heal, you realize those were never true, only reflections of a wounded man's influence. You have the power to decide who you are, far beyond that little child's assumptions, shaped by a father's words or silence. Your emotional maturity blossoms. By tending to your inner child's wounds, you allow them to finally grow. You may find you no longer react like a hurt child when someone criticizes you, because you've soothed that child and shown them they are enough. Instead of shutting down emotionally as you once did, you stay present and express your feelings, knowing they aren't weaknesses, but signals. Finally, you become an adult rather than a child in adult clothing. When you heal, it's not just for you, but for those before and after you. You break the chain your father was caught in and start a new legacy, one of emotional honesty, presence, and love. If you have children, they won't inherit the same wound. You'll be the conscious parent who gives them what you never got, and you won't repeat your father's mistakes. Even if you don't have kids, your healing frees those around you. Friends, partners, everyone now meets the real you, not your unexamined pain. You carry a new confidence, forged by facing your own demons. Imagine for a moment, who would you be without this wound? If your father's shadow no longer loomed over your life, what kind of person would you see in the mirror? Perhaps someone more at peace, brave enough to love and pursue dreams without that heavy baggage. Hold that image. That is your destination. You are not fated to become your father, or be defined forever by what he did or didn't do. Many people spend their lives copying a parent's flaws or rebelling against them. In both cases, they're still controlled by that parent. You don't have to be one of them. You can be free. Jung believed in individuation, becoming your true self, separate from the unconscious scripts handed down by family and society. This is your individuation journey, to step out of your father's shadow and into your own light. It takes courage, it takes honesty, It may take forgiving what feels unforgivable and loving yourself when that once felt impossible. It's the courage of a warrior, but a warrior of the psyche, battling inner demons, slaying the dragon your father perhaps could not slay in himself. In myths, the hero often must overcome the father, or what the father represents, to claim their destiny. This is your heroic journey, to overcome the negative father within you. The prize is nothing less than freedom and wholeness. And you are not alone in this battle. So many others have hidden father wounds. By facing yours, you become a beacon for others. You prove that it's possible to confront these ghosts and not only survive but thrive. You show that a wounded past does not condemn you to a broken future. This confrontation with your past can become a poetic transformation of your life. What was once a source of pain can become a source of wisdom and compassion, if you let it. In the end, remember, you will never heal until you understand this about your father. His power over you persists only as long as you permit it. The true task of healing is not changing him, but changing your relationship to the imprint he left on you. When you see that clearly, you take back the power that was always yours. You stop being a victim of your history and become the author of your future. This is the moment of empowerment, realizing that yes, you were wounded, but now it's in your hands to heal. The responsibility and the freedom are both yours. No one else can do this inner work for you. And that is a gift, because it means your healing isn't conditional on anyone else, not even your father. You don't need him to change. You need to change. So step up and become the parent to yourself that you always needed. Cherish the little child within you and promise them you will never abandon them the way you were abandoned. Promise you will listen to their feelings, protect them from harm, encourage them when they're scared. In essence, give yourself the love that you missed. Do this consistently, and that little child will finally start to trust and heal. Some days you might falter. You might slip into old despair or anger. But now you have the tools: awareness, compassion, choice. You can catch yourself when you start spiraling into that dark place and say, "No, I won't surrender to this. I will take care of myself." Over time, those moments will come less often and you'll recover faster. That's the sign of the wound closing, scar tissue forming where once there was a raw hurt. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. You may never forget what happened, but it becomes part of your story, not the defining chapter. Think of it like a scar. It will always be a mark on you, but it can change from a source of pain to a mark of survival and strength. You will carry your father's memory, but in a transformed way, as a lesson, as motivation to do better, rather than a curse. As you heal, something remarkable can happen. A kind of gratitude can emerge from the wound that once only brought you grief. It sounds strange, but you may feel gratitude for what this pain taught you. Perhaps it made you more resilient, more empathetic to others, more determined to break the cycle. This isn't saying thanks for hurting me, but rather I have mined something valuable from what happened. It's turning lead into gold, the alchemy of the soul. In healing your father wound, you reclaim your life. The chains of the past fall away. The angry child inside grows into a wise adult. The patterns that once controlled you become choices you can change. You find you can love without so much fear and achieve without self-sabotage. You stand in your own authority now, guided by a higher principle rather than the echo of a flawed parent. So, do you understand now? The secret is that you had the power all along to heal, but it required facing the truth of your father's impact. It required pulling back the veil. That understanding is key. It's like finding the name of the demon that haunts you. Once you name it, it loses its hold. By naming your father wound and understanding its roots, you have begun the exorcism. The rest of the journey is ongoing, but you are no longer in the dark. Every step you take toward healing is a step out of his shadow. Every act of self-care, every boundary you set, every time you open your heart despite fear, it all counts. It all heals. Slowly, steadily, you become the author of your psyche's story, not a character in your father's narrative. This is what breaking free looks like. Remember, you cannot change the past, but you can change what the past means to you, what it does to you. Jung believed each of us has the capacity to transform even the darkest aspects of our psyche through consciousness and effort. Your father's influence was a powerful force in your unconscious. Now, by dragging it into the light, you diminish that power and increase your own. This journey isn't easy, but it may be the most important one you will ever take. A father's wounds run deep, but so does your will to heal. You owe it to that little child you were, and to the person you are now, to break those chains. You will never heal until you understand this about your father. And now you do. The understanding is yours. The healing can finally begin.